Shalom, 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 Lawrence. Good afternoon, everyone. We back here for this barbershop talk on perversion of the gospel. Hey, guys, let's get to it. Don't forget to hit that like button on the way in here. And hey, let's get to it, fellas. Let's get to it. Got the panel open. The way we can have a talk about this, fellas. All right, all right. Lawrence, how we doing?
Shalom, brother. Shalom. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good.
All right. Well, before we kick this off, happy birthday.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Um, interesting, interesting topic because I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for the last couple of days.
Right,
Um,
right.
after after interaction with uh, hypocrisy
Okay.
uh, on Agon's channel and
Got you.
looking at the constant debate back and forth over who's perverting the scriptures or the word or the what I mean.
Right.
and and this ability from all sides, regardless of who you are, to just go, I don't know, just be excessively brutal
Mm.
when it comes to debating about it.
Okay.
um and it makes me nervous from all sides.
Gotcha.
When you reach a point where it's a fine line between whether someone's personal interpretation of scripture is one thing or whether someone's actually twisting it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, here's my thought on it.
Mhm.
Either way, both are harmful.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, I would venture to say the one who is ignorant would be even more harmful because of the simple fact they actually believe that they are right. Whereas with the one who is faking it, you can see two different faces from them
Hmm.
if you look close enough.
Right. Hmm.
Um, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I can see your perspective, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess to me, someone someone who's doing it intentionally, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
bears more weight to me,
Okay.
because they're
Okay.
intentionally leading the flock astray. Someone who's just misinterpreting, um, is only misinterpreting from either lack of knowledge, lack of perspective, lack of discernment, that sort of thing. It's bad
Or
still,
just their own
absolutely.
idealistic nature.
Exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still bad. I mean,
Yeah.
that would apply to anybody. It's still bad at the end of the day. But I guess someone who intentionally does it, bears more weight in my mind
Okay.
for for viciousness, I guess, for lack of a better term.
I got you.
Because
I got
because
you.
you because you willingly woke up in the morning and made a decision to lead the Most High's people away from Him. That's
Okay.
a whole different kind of beast than somebody who just interprets their own way, or because I mean, at the end of the day, we all interpret it in our own fashion.
Right.
Um, and in some cases, we find people who agree with us. In other cases, we don't. But at the end of the day, it's all personal interpretation. But it's not meant to be spiteful or purposely evil. Someone who wakes up
Okay.
in the morning and makes a conscious decision, that's a whole different kind of beast to me.
I got you. I
But
got you.
but
That's
I think
understandable.
yeah, I think the biggest issue is, um, well, for me, from my perspective on it, is no matter how it comes down, I think everybody's trying to make the final decision or say so to someone else they disagree with, when truth be told, um, the final arbitrator is the Most High.
Exactly.
You know
Exactly.
what you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, I can't literally sit there and look at everybody who disagrees with my interpretation, tell them they're wrong, they're going to hell, etc., and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, at the end of the day, the final arbiter is not me. I mean,
Right.
it's
Right.
it's 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 not my word, it's not my covenant, it's not my people. I have no ownership in it. Do I want to be part of it? Absolutely. But as far as it goes for ownership, that belongs to the Most High.
Right.
So it becomes nerve wracking, when I listen or read other people's takes and
Mm-hmm.
responses, because generally speaking, and we've talked about this before on this channel, that you speak, you say your piece, you rebuke what you have to rebuke, and the rest is up to the individual you said it to. After that, you knock the sand off your sandals and you keep it moving. But
Right.
it seems instead of doing that, everybody's just vehemently hell bent on trying to destroy the other person just because they don't believe, or you argue about interpretation, or it's mind boggling. I really wish I had the words for it, but I don't right now. But it is scary, and it's scary, it's nerve wracking, and above all things, it's sad.
Yeah. And to hit this point home, to be honest, truthfully, it really doesn't matter. In the end, if you're teaching these things, whether you're just ignorant, dumb, and teaching wrong because of your own um your own mental blockage or whatever that may be,
Hmm.
or if you're doing it on purpose, either way, you will be judged harshly
Well,
by
this is
him.
true. Yeah,
So
well, yeah, this is true. This is true.
it doesn't matter. So here's the thing: if if you don't have the capability to understand, I mean, you don't need to be teaching. You need to back down.
No, no, absolutely, no, absolutely. I
I'm
agree
just
with
saying.
No, no, I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's just
Mhm.
that with people who are teaching it from an ignorant perspective, I have a little bit of hope, because it could be them coming across a particular word, a particular scripture, a particular person who can make them see the light. There's still a possibility to show them the error of their ways, if that is the case. But again, people who are maliciously getting up in the morning and deciding to just go be spiteful and twist the words, like I said,
Mhm.
there's no hope for them, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
At least the first one can say, I didn't know, I was ignorant, I should have studied more, I should have did better. I mean, and they have an opportunity to self correct. But people who, like I said, people who get up in the morning and just go all out to just outright twist every single thing, that they got a bad day coming. And
Oh,
and and and, and, and like I said, I had told hypocrisy once before. Um, that's for everybody. That's not a
yeah.
singular. That's not a singular group, because every group has those people in it. Every
Right.
last one of them.
Right.
So this
Right.
this this is not a blame one group and not another. Everybody's got it. Yeah, yeah. Everybody's got it.
Hold on
So
for a minute.
yeah, yeah. but but overall, it's a bad day across the board. Um, and I know, again, like I said before, at the end of the day, the final arbitrator is the Most High, and all we can do individually is do the best we can, and do it fairly, do it cleanly, do it kindly, do it patiently, do it lovingly, and hope we end up on the right side of history. Um, but if we keep the basic tenets, the basic covenant, um, at the very least, there's a fighting chance. And the basic covenant is everything we've always heard before: "Thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not commit murder," etc., so on. Or the Ten Commandments, or those who are looking for the exact phrase, or title. But Eisen will be back in a second. But in the meantime, anybody
I'm
who's listening, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and don't forget to share and leave a comment. Let's get the algorithm up in YouTube for this channel. Yeah.
Yeah. And while I'm here, I'm back. I
Oh,
just
I'm
want
sorry.
y'all, you're good. I just wanted to say a shout out and thank you to MTR for that cash out, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
He's
Oh, okay.
here.
Yeah, I
He's
see
here
him.
in here. I see him. I see
I see
him.
him.
I
Oh, what's
see
going
him.
on? What's going on, MTR?
What's going on, man? Appreciate it. But yeah, I felt, I don't know. I guess, I felt for some reason I looked and this scripture had come across to me, and I felt like it was a good one to do because not only as far as when it comes to when we're talking about the gospel, but it applies to people teaching in everyday life. As far as anything, I mean, if anything outside of that, I mean, if you're teaching, if you're doing false things to lead someone like a sheep to the slaughter, it still applies there too. Like I said, I wanted to create this channel. I wanted to give out this information to where it could apply not only in your spiritual life, but it applies in your life completely as far as practicalness. I wanted to bring out these practical aspects that way, hey, and way I can just give you this knowledge and you can choose whether you choose to apply it or not. That's on you, but it is for people, for guys to be able to apply to their everyday life.
No, no, and well, it should be. I mean, that's the entire point. That's the entire
Exactly.
point of its existence. Which is where it gets a little weird with what we're talking about with the two
Right.
different groups and how they interpret or how they twist meanings. That at the end of the day, you can stand outside and scream all you want to about people going to hell and not doing this and not doing that. The question becomes is, are you?
Right. Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You don't talk about it, be about it, as we
Right.
used to say.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
That's very important.
and,
Yeah.
everything from, don't talk about it, be about it, uh, you know, be, be in the world, but not of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Don't, don't cast, don't cast aspersions to your brother, and et cetera, and so on.
Right. Right.
So,
Exactly. And that was this whole point too, was to kind of highlight the simple fact that these individuals who are teachers, who are viewed as teachers, they'll be judged more harshly,
oh, absolutely.
because yeah,
Yeah, it
because of
says
the
so in
simple
scripture.
fact they're supposed to be giving proper information. They're supposed
Oh, yeah.
to,
Oh, yeah. I
and
mean,
to be giving individuals who are underneath you and who are following you false information. It's very dangerous.
oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there are many, there are many lines in scripture that speaks point blank. They will be given some harsh punishment, more so than the average,
Right.
um, in some readings. So yeah, that's very important, and I think that's why at the end of the day he kept it simple.
Yes.
You go in. If you see a brother doing wrong, or you have to correct him, you say what you have to say and you move on. I think that's the reason he created that, so we wouldn't have the situations that we're having right now.
Yeah.
At least, my interpretation of it. Because if
Got you.
everybody simply does that, where you speak your piece and you move on, we wouldn't have people out here laying claim to who's going to hell and who's not, who's going to
Right.
be chosen and who's not, etc. So we'd get past all that because we
Right.
wouldn't be worried about who's the most important. We'd be worried about living within the spirit of the law. That's the key.
Exactly.
Living in the spirit of the law, and if we could do that, then yeah, man, we got a hell of a decent chance. but
Right.
but but I mean, you got everybody who wants to lay claim. I mean, I've seen people get upset because black people from Hebrew Israelites are claiming they're the chosen. Okay, so you're mad at them. You're mad at them for that. Okay, so what's the problem? You as a Jewish person claims that you're the chosen. So why are you mad at him being able to say the same thing that you've always said?
Mm.
And the same thing goes in reverse if you talk to a white person. You might even have it in some Asian communities. Everybody thinks they're the chosen people, but you can't sit here and denounce somebody else for making that charge when you're making the exact same charge. That's insane.
Right, right.
Because your argument about them having proof is the same argument they can use against you. You not having proof. Well, what book are you reading from? I'm reading from the same book you're reading from. Then it goes, well, what about the translation? Okay, now we get, I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on, and you're missing the whole point. It's about the spirit of the law, and the spirit of the law is summed up in the Ten Commandments. Now there are little, there are nuances in between, with Deuteronomy and Leviticus and Numbers and all that good stuff. But the spirit of the law is the Ten Commandments. Everything comes from that crux. That's the original. That's like the original covenant in and of itself.
Exactly. And the most, and of those 10, the first 2 are the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And you know what else I liked here? It really went to the nature of Paul. Whenever you, with here in verse 8, where it says, but even if we or an angel from heaven should preach to you a gospel contrary to that which we originally preached to you, let him be condemned to destruction. That right there, that spoke about his fiery nature, and that was in that bloodline, which he's in the bloodline of Benjamin. They would be like a ravenous wolf, and even before he Christ had touched him, he got God in his life, and he became he became a prophet, a teacher of this word. He had that nature, but when God and Jesus, when they affected him, that aspect of him did not change, but where it was focused at, that was a change. I think that's very interesting to me, because a lot of people don't know that. That's another thing, that's a science in here in the Bible when it speaks of these genetic traits. I mean, a trait like that line, they would be like ravenous wolves against their enemy, and that's how Paul was. So now, the only focus that changed once he became a disciple was who the enemy was. And who that enemy was, now he was still ravenous against that enemy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that hypocrisy and I had gotten really heavy on in a couple of chats over a variety of channels. It's that situation, like when he asked me about being a Hebrew Israelite and condoning the guys on the corner and et cetera and so on, who are out there calling people names, threatening them, et cetera and so on. And my argument is, well, of course I don't agree with that. No person of common sense or spiritual righteousness would even consider that, because the final vengeance belongs to the Most High, not to us as individuals.
Right.
But you can't sit there and lump everybody into the same group, because it's not going to happen. You can't do it. You're not allowed to do it with any other group, so don't do it with this one. Do I think all Jewish people are perfect? Absolutely not. They've got their issues. Do I think all Muslim people are perfect? Absolutely not. They got their issues. Baptist, Protestant, Catholic, like I said earlier, we all have those groups within our individual groups. So, it's one of those situations where you've got to learn to get past that, even with yourself. And I could be wrong, correct me if I am, but even yourself, you interact with myself and you interact with Black Ram.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, realistically speaking, do either one of us act like any of those dudes you see on the street corner?
No. And I don't see many of them, but the few that I've seen, no, y'all are very different. Very different.
Yeah. We don't even come close to that nonsense. We just don't. And then Ram himself has admitted, just like I have, I don't necessarily agree with their intellectual perspective on things.
Right.
And that's not to take away from them. It's just that we have a fundamental difference. And then, like I said, it's not just the two of us. Like I told Hypocrisy, there are many Hebrew Israelite brothers that I hang around. They just do not subscribe to that. They just don't. It's just not part of. It's not part of their character. And again, it's not something I think personally the Most High wants us to do. We don't get to choose what nations get destroyed. That's His. We don't get to count the people of who gets to live and who gets to, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we just
Exactly.
don't. You know, and that's not just a Hebrew Israelite thing. That's a Hebrew Israelite thing. It's a Catholic thing. It's a Baptist thing. It's a Jewish thing. It's a Muslim thing. No matter who you choose, none of us have that right. That all belongs to him.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
so and I know sometimes hypocrisy gets very heated because his interactions with them have been predominantly negative. If I remember the way he explained it to
Yeah.
me,
From what
and
I've seen, yeah, I would
right,
agree.
yeah, and as I try to tell him, you have to do the same thing that I have to do, or anybody else, whether it be me, you, new, zero, any of us. It doesn't make a difference. You have to do the same thing we do, dude. It's nonsense. Just turn around and walk away. I mean, that's literally all you have to do.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just that simple. It's not
Exactly.
rocket. It's not rocket science. You don't have to overthink it. It's just that simple. Okay, brother, I don't agree with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you to your peace, and I'm going to take mine and go somewhere else. It's
Right.
just that simple.
It is. It is that simple.
You
Not
know.
even, not even addressing them, not even refusing to give them your time is the best thing that you can do, because in the end, they're not worth it. It even speaks of that in the Bible, of not giving, I mean, pretty much giving insignificant people with these insignificant false thoughts your time.
Hmm.
You're not supposed to do that. You're not obligated to do that. I mean, matter of fact, it's a matter of fact to so you can keep your sanity, so you can keep your core values of who you are. Um, it's best to not even deal with these people. I mean, now if it's someone that that's wavered and you can actually help them, that's different. But someone like that cares nothing for it, you're wasting time on them when it could be better spent somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that goes back to another particular scripture that people seem to think it only applies to material things, but it applies to physical, material, mental, and spiritual. You have to be good stewards,
Yes,
and time is a valuable commodity.
it's
You know,
it's the
so
most valuable commodity.
yeah, absolutely, and you have to be good stewards with that. So what do when you come across those situations or people like that? You just leave.
Yes.
And it's interesting. It's interesting that we arrived here, because here's a particular point I tried to make to some of my friends and associates. As a man, walking away from something does not diminish you as a man.
It does not.
Because there's a lot of brothers out there who think walking away means that they're less than, and it doesn't. I mean, it's not even close.
It doesn't. I mean, as a matter of fact, he told Abraham, "Get up and leave away from your people.
Hmm.
They what they have for you here is nothing good for you. Go here where I send
Hmm.
you, because I have something better for you here." So I
Hmm.
mean, you're actually charged with leaving when it's. I mean, when it's time, you are to leave.
Hmm. And mind you, we saw that happen twice within the same time frame, because he did it with Abraham, then immediately turned around and told Lot to get out of his.
Yeah. Well. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it wasn't immediate. It was much later when he was in Sodom and Gomorrah.
No, but I'm saying within that
I
same
see what
life,
you're saying. Yeah,
yeah,
I
that
see
same
what you're saying.
lifetime, same. I mean, not the same generation, because Lot was his nephew, but
Right.
within that same time period, they were both still
Yes.
alive
Right.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
mean, he told both of them, you got to leave.
Right. I
And
agree.
and
I
then
agree.
I mean, and mind you, there was no bondage or anything going on, so you can't
Right.
compare it to Exodus or anything like that. He
Exactly.
literally told them, "This place is not for you. Do not waste your time here, nor do I want you to waste your time here. You have to
Right.
leave."
Exactly.
There's a reason. There's a reason that out of every person you can choose in Scripture, Abraham is the only one he called friend.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and, and 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 Abraham is the only one he's ever called friend. And that is a perfect example of how we're supposed to interact with each other.
And also too, there's a reason why, with everything with all the blunders that Lot made, that God even blessed him in the way that he did, because of the simple fact, when God told Abraham to leave, he told him to leave all of them behind.
Hmm.
So Abraham got out on his own, didn't even let him know he was leaving. But Lot noticed and went anyways, and basically was like, "Where you go, I'm going."
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, well, all right, so I have to bless someone who took it up on their own, even though I did everything to put this
Yeah.
man right here in a position to leave everyone behind. And he says, well, no, I'm not going. You ain't going without me.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why the scriptures are written the way they are, because there's examples of practically every type of person you could be in a sinful way, and it
Mhm.
still shows the love and greatness the Most High has to forgive you and still make you something great.
Yeah, exactly. I
So
mean,
anybody who wakes up talking about, well, after everything I've done, you know what I'm saying, I can't get forgiveness, man, open those scriptures. I guarantee you'll find somebody just like you and they got it too. All you have to do
hey,
is do the work.
I mean, that statement you made speaks to no one better than David.
Oh yeah.
Who,
Hmm.
I mean, with everything with what he done, as far as that whole deal with Bathsheba, and God, what was his
Yeah.
friend's name? I don't know why I can't think of his name
Uh,
now.
you talking about Bathsheba's husband.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
the one who was never supposed to be in the front lines, and he sent them to it anyway because he wanted
Exactly.
Bathsheba. All because he
Right.
stood out on the roof one day and saw her. It was just that simple.
Yeah. She put herself in that position to be seen too.
Well,
I,
absolutely,
I have no,
absolutely.
I have, I mean, because the truth is the fact is that in that period of time, that a married woman is not supposed to be in the position to be seen doing such a thing.
Oh,
And
agreed. Absolutely,
yeah, so but
absolutely.
I mean, but yeah, he failed. I mean, but of course, like I said, she did her little tricks and it worked on him. But even
Yeah, but
after all of that,
hmm
God still said that David was a man after his own heart.
yep, yes,
After
he
that,
did.
even after all that.
Yep, yes, he did. And like I said, regardless. Oh,
That's right,
hey,
Uriah. Black, that's right. That's right. That's
Uriah.
right. It was Uriah. Thanks for
Well,
coming in here, Black Ram. Thanks for coming in
yeah, man.
here. Salute, brother. Salute.
But
Man.
like I said, it's just fascinating. And the thing that worries me is uh uh because I know we got a little sidetracked there with me
Yeah.
bringing up Abraham, but
Oh,
the
I
thing
brought
that's
him up, I guess, originally.
oh well, okay. Um, but the thing that fascinates me the most is that it seems, at least based off what I've been seeing, because I don't know what everybody else has been watching, but it seems to be a serious amount of buildup of vitriol
Hmm.
um, between Hebrew Israelites and the so-called Jewish community, um, and it's interesting to watch. Um, and as I explained the hypocrisy, it's a very weird position for me to be in.
Right.
Um, because like I said, I was raised by a Jewish family, and then I come as I get older to coming into a Hebrew Israelite. So you can imagine the conversations and dinner table talks and
Right.
all that,
Yeah.
and all that good stuff. Especially when I sit and I'm talking back and forth with rabbis. So so
Yeah.
it's interesting. But for me to come to be raised in one world and come to a decision on being in another simultaneously, or like rather later on.
Right.
It's interesting to watch, and that's why I guess hypocrisy and I have the conversations we do, because I think he's trying to grasp the concept of how I'm able to live within the realm of both. I think maybe I could be wrong,
Probably.
but he does ask me a lot on where I stand on watching the Hebrew Israelites who are out on the corner and white people devils, this, etc., and so on. And and as I explained to him one time, I can give you my opinion all I want to, but it doesn't matter. You're going to choose what you want to choose. You're going to believe what you
Exactly.
want to believe.
Same as them.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be that way on both sides. And again, as I've said many a times before, there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, before it was Hebrew Israelites and Jews, it was Jews and Muslims. Then it was,
Yes.
and before that, it was Muslims and Christians. I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, everybody's going to lay claim to wanting to be the chosen.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Agreed.
And like I said, look, if you're going to be the chosen, then you're required. And this is for any group you want to pick. If you're going to walk out there and call yourself the chosen, then you are supposed to be the light of the world. You're supposed to carry
Yeah.
yourself in a particular fashion. You're
Yeah.
supposed to do things in a certain way and to interact with people, whether it be the chosen or the Gentiles or whatever you want to call them. You have to carry yourself a certain way. We have a responsibility in that,
Right.
and we have
Right.
a command to do so as
Right.
well. So
And go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna say that right there goes to speaks to the simple fact of, with the whole chosen people, that there is no such thing as equality. It's a figment of imagination,
Oh,
because of the
absolutely.
simple fact, if there was, there would be no chosen individuals, there would be no chosen people. I mean, when you look at it throughout science, throughout various religions, there are people that are set apart from others.
Hmm.
And even in those people, those groups that are set apart, there's certain individuals that are set apart from them. Um, so it just goes to show that, I mean, heck, to quote the Merovingian, basically, that what is it? Power, what was it? Choice, the freedom of choice is an illusion. It created between those with power and those without.
Hmm.
Ultimately saying that, the people who are in power, they're going to make the choices, and then the people that feel powerless, they're just going to follow it. They're just going to follow along, like, like lifeless zombies, along to whatever narrative is spun before them, while the people that recognize power, the people who are set apart, they're going to do what they are to do, and they're not just going to follow along in that. So they have something greater, some greater purpose to fulfill.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, look, equality itself, regardless of how you want to break down the concept of it, the etymology of the word, whatever you want to do. Here's the thing: equalities, the concept of equality and pushing it is only a control mechanism, no more, no less.
Exactly.
It's a control mechanism for man to be able to direct and define for every person, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of age, as a control mechanism to guide them and direct them in a way that more often than not leads away from what scripture says is supposed to be. Equality is a false equivalency. It is absolutely impossible. And it has
Right.
nothing to do, and it has nothing to do with gender. It doesn't. It has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with race. Equality is not possible. There's no such thing.
Exactly.
I mean, even from a scriptural perspective, the Most High Himself has made His people above others.
Right.
And in addition to that, if you look at the people, if you look at His chosen people, even in that there are ones above others.
Exactly.
the tribe of
Exactly.
the tribe of Judah has its place as royalty. The Levites are the priests. And even within the 12 tribes, there are levels of authority and responsibility.
Right.
The concept of equality is like I
Right.
said, to me it's insane. It makes no sense.
Right. And I mean, and then even, I mean, when you look at the scientific aspect of it, I mean, there are people that do things that can't, that others can't do. I mean, heck, I mean, everyone can't have the mind of a Stephen Hawking or a Steve
Exactly.
Jobs. Everyone can't physically do the things and compete on the level of a Bo Jackson, a LeBron James, or a Michael Jordan. I mean, I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
it's proof in everything that we do in our life.
Look, there's not even equality inside your own household.
No, there's not.
Your son who you groomed, who you trained up in the ways of the scriptures and the Most High, could be better at something that you never conceived of being able to do. That's just the way it
Exactly.
is.
Exactly.
The same way as he's growing, there's without doubt you're going to be far better at it than he is because he's learning from you. There's a reason
Right.
for that.
Right. Right.
It's nothing personal. It's nothing to diminish another person. And the same thing applies to your daughters, your wife. You know what I'm saying? Your brothers. You know what I'm saying? Your father, your mother, your grandparents. It just is what it is. Like I said, and not only that, but if you look at each generation moving through time, every generation is learning something different than the last generation. So there's
Hmm.
gonna be so it's just just from that alone, you know, there can't be equality, because what my grandfather did in the 50s, I'm learning to do totally different, faster, with better equipment, better technology, better science than he ever did.
Mm-hmm. And to be
That,
honest, and to be honest, truly, we should be wishing for those to come after us to be better, to do it better. Because if they're not, then we failed them.
absolutely, absolutely, I agree with that wholeheartedly. There's, you know, look, as as a parent and move and creating the next generation, my first responsibility is to raise them up properly within the scriptures and knowing the Most High's favor and laws, okay, and commandments.
Yes.
My next phase after that is to teach them the tools that they need to work within the world. Again, be in it, but not of it.
Right.
Okay. And everything else after that, it just, you know, it progresses for each stage. But that's the way it's supposed to be. Not doing that as a parent. And as a matter of fact, it doesn't even have to be a parent. You can be an uncle, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and you got nieces and nephews. You know, it, like the saying goes, it takes a village. You know, whatever I'm trying to teach my children, if I fall short, there's my brother who may know what I'm short on, or my cousin or something like that. It's supposed to be a community, a village type of thing. We all come together to ensure that next generation is given the tools it needs to progress positively.
Mm.
You know, you know,
Yes.
like I said, that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that does, and I think that should, and I think that's something that, whether you, again, regardless of what belief system you use, or you don't have a belief system at all, I think at the end of the day, every person, as a living, breathing being, we can agree on that.
Yeah.
I don't I would dare say I challenge anybody, regardless of their background, to disagree with that. That is the purpose of your offspring and your legacy. You want them to be better than you were, the same way you worked hard to be better than the one prior.
Right. Right. Yeah. That should be the goal. That should be the goal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's absolutely the goal.
Right. Well, I think we've had a great discussion on this, great barbershop talk. I think we took it about as far as we can really take it, to be honest. And you know, I think it's been a great one. I've really enjoyed it. You got any last words before we close this out, Brother Lawrence?
Same as always. Be dealing with each other. Be patient. Be kind. Be loving, and above all, men first.
All right, all right. And I just want to thank everyone for coming out and listening, being involved in this. And hey, only thing I got to say is, hey, y'all be blessed, and stay tuned for next weekend. We'll be back in here again. Later, everyone. Peace.
Shalom.